Hi, my name's Leah. I am a 59-year-old solo traveler. I have done many adventures throughout my life on my own, and as I've gotten older, I do more and more solo travel, and I find that I really enjoy it. But with every new adventure, there's always anxiety around the planning phase of it. I went on my first cruise on the Carnival celebration in December with my sister and had a wonderful time. And now I'm getting ready to start doing solo cruising. So my first solo cruise is coming up in May, and again I'll be going on the Carnival celebration. And today I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things I learned from my first cruise and how I'm going to adapt that into getting ready for my first solo cruise, to take the anxiety out of it and to fix some of the things that I could have done better on my first cruise. If you are a solo cruiser or maybe just new to solo travel, this is a great video with some tips and some ideas on how to take the anxiety out of planning your first solo trip. So I will be cruising out of Miami, and I live in Washington State. So it's quite an adventure just getting to the port for me. And as I get older, I don't like to drive to the airport. I don't see well at night. I live in a rural area, and I have become less comfortable driving in the city, especially to airports. They can be confusing, and for me it's just anxiety producing, and about parking and leaving my car somewhere for 10 days and trying to find my car again, all the things that go along with driving to the airport. So one of the things that I do is I just alleviate that. My last cruise, my son was nice enough to drive me to the airport. I live 2 hours away from SeaTac, so I now take a bus, and I've done this numerous times, and we have a bus service that runs from my area to the airport that leaves twice a day, and so that is how I get to and from the airport. I do my best to coordinate times between the bus, the airplane, what times I can check into the hotel, and all these different things, so that it's kind of seamless, and I'm not sitting at the airport for too many hours or waiting for hours to be able to check into my hotel. So this takes a little bit of pre-planning. On my last cruise, it was a 7-day cruise, and it was my first cruise I'd ever been on. So I, wasn't really sure what I was going to need on my cruise. Now that I've been on one, and I kind of understand better on what I used and maybe what I could have lived without, I plan to pack a lot lighter this time. I took a full-size suitcase last time, and checked my bags, and then also brought a carry-on bag with my laptop. Actually, I brought a backpack, not a I used a backpack as my carry-on bag, and I brought my laptop, which I never used once the whole time. So I won't be bringing my laptop this time. But I figured it out. I already tried pre-packing, even though I have months to go, because I just wanted to see if it was doable to fit it into a carry-on suitcase that's quite a bit smaller than my large suitcase. And I found that I can do it. I don't need, if I have to, I can do a load of laundry halfway through my cruise. Because my trip really is about 10 days by the time, from the time I leave my house till the time I get home, because I have some delays for the bus before and after my trip, so I'll be staying in hotels. So 10 days, and what I found though is that I can get by with pretty few clothes. I think I'm bringing, I don't know, 2 pairs of shorts and 2 or 3 tank tops, and just a couple pairs of pants, and then different tops that I can use for dinners, and a jacket, a light jacket. I found that on the cruise ship inside in the evenings, it's a little chilly for me. So last time brought a sweater, and I was glad I did, because my arms did get cold. Even though it was warm outside, when I went out on the deck, it was plenty warm out, but inside the air conditioning's on. So that's something to be aware of, that if you tend to get a little chilly, bring something a little warmer to wear for the evenings. So anyway, I have packed everything, and I'm going to try to get by with just a carry-on suitcase and backpack again, or another carry-on bag that I can stick under my seat on the airplane. So this is because, for one thing, lifting a huge suitcase in and out of Ubers and, through the airport and, in the hotel, even though it has wheels, there are a lot of times I had to lift my suitcases, so I think it's going to be a lot easier for me and less stress if I just bring my carry-on ones, and my small suitcase that I'm bringing has wheels too. It's easy to maneuver, and I can save money by not having to check my bags also, and I don't have to wait afterwards to go get my luggage. So that is my plan. Another thing I do is I tend to use Uber a lot for getting from the airport to the hotel to the port, back to the airport. I know there's shuttles. The last trip, after debarkation, the line outside to get rides was insane. I think there was a number of events going on at the port, but I heard the Miami port is kind of like this a lot. I hear a lot of complaints about it. Embarkation was really smooth, but debarkation was kind of a little bit of a nightmare. So we waited outside for a long time for our Uber, because they just couldn't get to us. It's not that they were taking a long time. The traffic was crazy, and the people that were waiting for shuttles were waiting way longer. There was people waiting for an hour before I even got there that were still waiting for their shuttles. So I don't know. I just feel more comfortable with Uber. I put money in a prepaid account before I leave. Last time I put a couple $100 in there, and that was enough to do all my transportation to and from the airports, to the hotels and back, and to the port and back. And it's easy. I don't have to make a reservation. I can just do it right from, wherever I'm at and where I need to go to. I put all the addresses in to my Uber account before I even leave. So then it's easy to pull them up. I'm not having to Google addresses and making sure I have the right hotel and that kind of thing. I already put the information in there, so then I can just bring it up, and usually I have a ride within 5 to 10 minutes, and it's just easy. I also can, if I have money in that account, if I'm at a hotel and they don't have a restaurant and I don't want to have to go anywhere, especially if it's late at night, I can order Uber Eats to my room too. So that's convenient. So I plan on doing that again. I'll be setting up my, putting money, prepaying it in my Uber account. Super easy. So I didn't make the best choices in hotels last time. Sometimes when you're looking at just all these lists of hotels, it's kind of overwhelming. And you can't always tell exactly how good of a hotel it is from the pictures. I tend to be cheap. I'm not rich. I'm on a budget, and so I tend to pick the best deals I can find. Unfortunately, both the hotels I picked last time were not very impressive. And the one wasn't wasn't even cheap. I mean, it was like $260 for a night. The place was super dirty. This was in Miami. And it was a major chain, that I had stayed at before. This one was pretty old, and it just was not taken care of. The elevator was just disgusting. The rooms were pretty disgusting. The continental breakfast, there was like nothing there that I even wanted to eat, and I'm not that picky. I just had coffee, but it just was not a good choice. And the one in Seattle that I stayed at, I kind of knew because it was close to the airport. Most of the SeaTac hotels are not that great. So this time I was a little more careful in choosing the hotels. I did a little bit better research and paying more money. Just, it's not that I need something luxurious. I just need somewhere to sleep for the night. But I do want it to be clean. That's my criteria, that it's safe, that I'm not in a bad area of town where there's, some scandalous things going on outside. I try to pick areas that are fairly safe and that it's clean. I also pick hotels that have continental breakfast usually because it's just one meal I don't have to worry about. It's just there. I like my coffee in the morning, and I'm also try to get hotels that have a shuttle. So even if I don't use it, having the shuttle to the airport is helpful. That right there just, saves me, $20-$30 each way if they have a free shuttle. So my last trip, the flights I had booked were a good deal, and flew on American Airlines, and it's the first time I've ever flown American, on the way to Miami, and I flew Delta on the way home. The flight to Miami had a layover in Dallas, and it ended up being a nightmare. We almost didn't make it to our cruise. It was very stressful. My sister was in a wheelchair. They didn't have the wheelchair transport. It was just, by the time they tried to get us to our flight, the plane was already closed up, and there was nobody even there anymore. If you want to hear that whole story, there's a video I made about that for my first cruise. So anyway, I no longer will book a flight with a layover. I book direct flights. This time I also booked Flight of the Fun, which is through Carnival. You can add it right to your cruise costs, and you go right on their website and you pick what flights you want, and it just has it to be paid for by your final payment of your cruise. And the rates were pretty good. I probably paid a little bit more than I would like on Priceline, or one of those Expedia, but not much, $20-$30. And so the deal with the Flight to the Fun is if you have problems where there's delays or you can't make it to the ship on time, Carnival helps with the process of getting you a new flight or giving you a refund. So it's just an added protection to make sure that you're going to just not lose everything you put into your cruise, and having that backup that they know I'm supposed to be on that flight for that cruise. So they do whatever they can to get you to the cruise port on time, so you don't miss your flight. I do book my flights the day before, which is highly suggested. Some people, I believe, do even 2 days ahead to make sure, because there's always could be issues. So that's why I stay at a hotel when I get to Miami. So I should be there the night before. This last incident with Dallas, though, I was supposed to be in Miami by, I think, 9-10 o'clock at night, we didn't get to Miami till 6 in the morning, and then they couldn't find our luggage or the wheelchair. So yeah, it was not good. We spent our whole first day on the ship exhausted. We had been up for 24 hours and we had like 2 hours of sleep, so I was very loopy, and I feel like I missed a day on my cruise because of it. So I learned from that and make sure that isn't going to happen again. Not only do I not book with American Airlines anymore, but I do direct flights. Problem solved. Okay, the thing I do is I try to book as early as I can with everything. You typically get better prices, and that way I can make payments on it too. If the prices change, you can find better deals. You can always, change them. But I book my cruise early. I try to book my flights, fairly early. And I like to have everything lined up. It just really takes the stress out of it for me. If I know exactly how I'm going to get from point A to point B to point C, I know the times, I know that it's already paid for, and I can put it all into an app. I have an app called TripIt, and I do the free version of it. So anytime I book anything and it sends me an email confirmation, it automatically goes into my itinerary on TripIt, which is absolutely awesome. It has my booking numbers, my flights. It sends me notifications, and I can put everything in there. I put my cruise in there. So I have every step of my trip from the time I leave my house to the time I get home, and all my confirmation numbers, phone numbers for the hotels, all those things are all in that app, so they're easy to access. I also like to, I've been using FlexPay for my cruises too, which is through Carnival. It's just great. Once I pick a cruise, I just apply it to that. It pays for my cruise. My cruise is paid in full. And then I just make monthly payments on it. So if I book 6 months in advance, my cruise is paid for before I even go on my cruise, which is great. It's been working for me so far, and then I can add extra stuff in that I want along the way if I want to book excursions or add a drink package or whatever. Specialty dining, I can add those in as I go. And part of my goal with cruising is to use casino offers to help get better deals on cruises. So on my first cruise, I did some gambling, not a lot, like 3 days worth. And I made another video on this. If you check out my last video, it has more information about, my casino experience. But I am getting cruise offers. And all these I have 3 cruises booked at this point, which I'll do another video on more in depth on that. But all of them have been through casino offers. So I am getting discounts, which helps a lot. And I like to gamble anyway, so I might as well get some benefit out of the money that I'm spending in the casino. One of the other things I do to help save money is I book interior rooms, or I have it up to this point, and wasn't sure if I would like it okay on the first one, but actually it was great. I mean, even though the room is small, it's very well laid out. You have everything you need. There was a place for all my things. We even had to store a wheelchair in ours, and we still had room to move around. The bathroom was fine. Plenty of closets. And the thing I really liked about the interior room is that it's dark. I slept so well, I think because it was so dark. Anytime I'm in a room with a window and light comes in the morning, my eyes automatically pop open. Even if I still need sleep, I'm usually awake by like 6, 7 in the morning. So, yeah. So unless they offer me, some great deal on a balcony room, I am just going to stick to booking interior rooms at this point. I'd rather spend the money on other things when I'm not going to spend that much time in my room anyway. I go there to sleep. I'm not like hanging out in my room. So I'd rather spend the money on excursions. The other thing I do to help relieve anxiety is that, you're going to all these new ports. I haven't been to any of them other than the ones I just went to on my first cruise. And so I watch a lot of YouTube videos on each of these ports. I get different people's perspectives on which ports they liked, which excursions they liked. I get to see the beaches, what the town looks like, people's reviews on the transportation, because you can see a brochure and it looks great, and then you get there and it's nothing like what the pictures look like, especially when it comes to beaches, So I've been watching a lot. I just do a lot of research on each port, and then sometimes I just like to explore on my own. I don't feel like I need an excursion. And other ones, I really want to go do, specific things that requires me to do an excursion. And also, for safety reasons, sometimes it's good to be in a group. If I, with other people, I'm not only am I getting my social needs met, but there's safety in numbers. So there's a couple places that I'm going to. I probably wouldn't be safe just going around by myself. Because I don't really know the area, and I know there's, some of them, there's some crime and there's some bad parts of town. I think most of the port areas I feel like are fairly safe, other than, people trying to sell you stuff. So I did have an adventure in Puerto Rico. That was the first port that I went to. And I was pushing my sister around those cobblestone streets in a wheelchair. It was exhausting. A lot of hills and very uneven. So, but anyway, we were trying to find the banana daiquiri place that has the famous first daiquiris ever made. And there was some guy on the street corner and came up and was giving us some free samples of some like eye cream, to get rid of wrinkles, and we're like, oh, thanks, and then like I think he looked at me and was, I don't wear makeup, and so he didn't really bother with me too much. I figured he probably thought he wasn't gonna sell me anything, which he was right, he wasn't gonna, but he like focused on my sister, and he was like, oh, I have some special samples, for under your eyes, and just need you to come over here. And next thing you know, we're getting roped into walking into this shop. It's like a salon, and there's a lady in there, and it just turned into this huge ordeal where, I knew right away once he walked into a building, I'm like, oh crap, I thought he was just going to grab another little sample. Oh no, they want us to sit down and do a trial, and it's like, okay, whatever. This isn't what I want to be doing with my time, but knowing we're not buying nothing. And anyway, so they get done, they put on my sister's eyes, under her eyes, and they're trying to convince us that there's this huge change, which there wasn't. And then he tells us it's only $1,200 for this cream, and I just started laughing. But anywho, I was like, yeah, there's no way we're spending $1,200 on eye cream. And then they just kept talking, and tried to, we'll give you the special deal, and we'll only charge you $800, and I'm thinking to myself, I wouldn't pay $5, so it's like we're never gonna get to a deal here. I said, we don't have the money for that, and Yeah, so anyway, we were nice, got out of there as fast as we can, but lesson learned, right? It's like sometimes I'm just too nice, and I see somebody coming up like that, and I don't want to be rude, but there's always somebody that's going to sell you something, and there's a lot of those in the port. So anyway, yeah, nothing bad happened, but other than they wasted my time. So the other thing I've learned about traveling is just leaving plenty of time to get to different locations. So I try not to make everything where I'm gonna only have a few minutes to spare. I don't want hours and hours of sitting, but I also don't want to be so worried about getting to the airport or getting somewhere on time that I'm gonna miss my airplane or my ship. So yeah, just dress weather appropriate and dress comfortable, wear comfortable shoes, and give yourself plenty of time. Keep everything very accessible. I add everything to my Apple Wallet, so my hotel reservations, my airline tickets, bus tickets, everything I put in my Apple Wallet. I print off copies of, you need your boarding pass for the ship anyway. You have to have that for Carnival for embarkation. But I also print off all my reservations, hotels, airline, all the airline information, everything, just so I have a backup. And just in case if I lost my phone, I'd be screwed. If you don't have all the information with you in a paper copy, lose your phone, or something happens, somebody steals it, whatever, you drop it in the water, you crack your screen. There's a million things that could happen, possibly. I always think worst case scenario. That way I'm governed. And so I bring backup. I also keep my wallet, my phone, my passport, everything in a front, I don't even know what you call them. It's a chest pack. It's like a purse that just goes over. I forget what they're called. But anyway, it's a strap that goes over and it just hangs in the front. So I have everything right here. That way I'm not worried about people taking things out of my pockets. I don't have to carry a purse that's hanging off my shoulder. One less thing I have to carry. It's just right here. Everything's accessible and I can see everything. So that makes it easy too, that I have everything in one spot. I'm not having to dig through backpacks and bags, and I have everything I need all in the same spot. Everything's got its place. And I do keep some extra cash though in an alternate location as a backup, just in case for some reason I lose my my wallet, or somebody rips it off me, or whatever. I do keep some cash in one of my pockets or somewhere that I have backup. So those are most of my tips for traveling. I hope that helps somebody. If you also have anxiety about going on a solo travel, to me, a lot of it's just pre-planning. If everything that I can take care of ahead of time, I do, because it's one less thing I have to worry about. And then it just makes it so much easier as I'm going along. This trip, I really don't have any anxiety about it at all, because I just went on a cruise in December. I'm going on the same ship. So I've recently been to the airports. I know the routines. I know what's gonna happen in security. I understand the embarkation process and debarkation and all those things. So this time, I can just enjoy myself. And I'm going to tell you, once you're on that ship, it's just relaxation time. There's nothing to stress over other than maybe the elevators. Yeah, the staff is wonderful. They're all friendly. They're all very helpful. I mean, I got lost a number of times, even though there's maps. Every time I try to go to dinner, I'd go to the wrong end of the ship. It took me like 3 days to figure that out. I just get turned around. But, you know, you just gotta learn to laugh at yourself, or I do anyway. But anyway, you know, every day they give you an itinerary of all the activities and entertainment and parties on the ship for the day. And you can just get on your Carnival Hub app and you can mark things down that, you know, you're interested in doing, so it will remind you later. And yeah, there's nothing to stress over. There's a ton of places to eat. There's endless amounts of entertainment. There's tons of places to drink. There's different pools depending on if you like it quiet, loud, you know, busy, quiet, you know, whatever. Yeah, if one area isn't your cup of tea, you just go find another one. There's plenty of places to hang out, and like I said, people are friendly, and you know, there's no reason to be lonely. There's a ton of people, and if you want to socialize, and there's lots of people to socialize, if you want alone time, you know, you can go find a quiet spot where nobody's going to bother you. So anyway, life is short. Don't waste your life waiting for somebody to go do the things with that you want to go do. Just go do it. You know, I love adventure, and that's how you meet new people, you know, and new experiences. You'll find that you're stronger than you think you are. So if you're a solo cruiser and have done some cruises already and have more tips that you'd like to share, please leave it in the comments below. And if you are a new solo cruiser or thinking about becoming a solo cruiser and have other questions, please ask them. You know, we can all learn together. I don't have a whole lot of experience in this, but I felt like I learned quite a bit just in my first trip. And I've done a lot of solo travel to other areas. You know, I've been to Disneyland a couple times. Done a lot of long distance hiking by myself. I've done Amtrak train rides to California and back. It's like 40-hour train rides. I've done that solo. So anyway, get out of your comfort zone. Take a risk. It's very safe. You know, as long as you're aware and you plan ahead, there's no reason why you can't have a wonderful time being a solo cruiser. If you like this video and would like to follow my journey and learn more tips about solo cruising as I go along, please hit the subscribe button. It's free. And hit like if you like this video. And we will talk to you soon.